All right, we're back out in the garage. So, Project CXR is actually moving along. We're making progress here. And while we're still working on our donor bike, we haven't even got to the CR portion of this build. We're making good headway. And so today, we're just going to kind of keep on cranking. The user's manual for this bike, according to the internet, because I don't have a user's manual, says that this bike from the factory should be making 164 psi. So, any guesses? I'm going to say 120. Let's go with 120. We'll see here. We're going to give it about 5 kicks and get that in there nice and square. This one doesn't have any threads. You just push it on this rubber. So need to push down pretty sharply and squarely. And then let's give it some kicks here. Oh boy. 50. 40. What is that? 45. Okay, how about 65? Oh man. At this point, we need to just rip and tear, get this engine torn apart, and make a list of what's wrong inside, and maybe look at ordering parts. We're about to actually start spending money on our low buck CXR build. Alright. Cylinder head. Lots of little aluminum pieces in there. Quite a bit of carbon. All right. Well, still mystery where compression's going. Can't get these valves dried out though, which makes me think that it's weeping in from back here. Oh yeah. So sprayed brake clean down in here, and it's coming out around the valve. So she is not sealing. Okay. All right. Almost had it. Got one of them. Alright, this is not the right way to do this. Alright, let's have a look at this exhaust valve. Nope. Not very much play on the shaft. Lots of carbon. Lots of carbon. You can clean all that up though. Where it seals, there's a little bit of carbon right there. Yeah, it looks like our problem's right here. So, and this thing just looks like it's coated in carbon. I wonder if these valves didn't go out of adjustment and it ran for a while with this valve not closing all the way, resulting in carbon buildup. Or it's also possible that it got bent. I don't see recent damage to it that I can tell. Looks like it's been hot. It does look like it's had shrapnel hit the top of it too. Looks pretty good. All right. Pretty good. Now, this ought to be fun. So originally in the previous video, I had thought the valves would be too tight. And what that means is, as the valves wear, this portion actually gets taller because the valve is wearing here and going deeper and deeper into its hole. It's actually almost like it's stretching. It's getting longer. Not really. It's just going that direction. It's falling into the hole as it wears. Which means that this gets taller. And so those rocker arms that are sitting here pushing down on it, it kind of comes up and meets them. And there's supposed to be a gap there. So I was able to wiggle and see that those were in spec. Well, somebody had adjusted them. And they adjusted them too late. And the reason I know that is because this exhaust valve especially, the face of it where it's sealed, had a coating of carbon on it. And that carbon is rough and jagged, so when the valve would close, there would be air gaps. As it was closing, instead of being flat and a nice seal, it had this carbon sticking up. And so it was, you know, having these gaps where the air could escape. And I figured that out by spraying fluid. I used brake clean, but a lot of people use WD-40 or they'll use carb cleaner, just whatever, into here. And if this valve is sealed, it will stay dry. This was just dripping brake clean out. So this exhaust valve had a very large leak. The intake kind of oozed some out, so it had a little bit of a leak. I went ahead and took them out. The valves have now been lapped, which requires you to use it's, you know, almost like you're starting a fire. You put this suction cup on here and you spin them, and you have this grinding compound that's a grit. It's a sandpaper, a liquid sandpaper, kind of a gooey, snotty sandpaper. And that sandpaper cuts a new face. And I did that for two reasons. The first is I needed to get rid of that carbon and get a nice fresh seal. And secondly, if the valve is bent, if you go to lap the valve, because the valve is bent, there's a low portion. It'll be on the shaft. And as you spin it, that low portion will stay low. And so when you take the valve back out, instead of having a circle all the way around the valve of fresh face, there'll only be a face on the side that was lowest. These valves were both straight. After lapping them, I got a nice new fresh surface. The valve seat got cleaned up nicely, and the valve itself got cleaned up. The intake is worn out. It's got a fairly significant cup to its face. It should probably be replaced, but budget build. Just remember what we're doing here, guys. So polish this turd as much as I can. It should be ready to go. I actually, speaking of polishing a turd, I did a little bit of porting. I couldn't help myself. Had some jagged edges in here. Went ahead and polished them up a little bit. Took some edges off. So hopefully this will flow just a slight bit better. Probably a waste of time, but I couldn't help myself. And on the intake, this edge right on the very outer edge had kind of a sharp kick to it, so I went ahead and took that off, smoothed it over just a little bit to keep this nice and flat and straight instead of having this little lip sticking up, and it almost wanted to cut me. Cylinder head should be ready to install. Let's work on the cylinder. And I haven't taken this off yet. I have no idea what I'm in for. So let's find out together what we have in store for us here. Now, as I look in this cylinder, I've got it pretty much at top dead center. Or, excuse me, I've got the cylinder pretty much at bottom dead center. And as I look in there, the cylinder wall is etched. It's actually kind of rough to the touch. It's like it was rusted. Like the piston kind of stuck there and some water got in and sat in there and slowly just ate at just one specific area of the cylinder. The upper portion of the cylinder isn't that bad, really. There's no lip at the top. The rest of the cylinder looks good, but I've got this etching here, so I'm going to have to figure out what to do there. My real question is the health of the rings. How do these rings look? Are they worn out? Are they shot? They need replaced. They should be replaced, I'm sure. We're going to verify that, and then we're going to see how much rings cost and see if they're really far gone or mostly far gone, they're going to get replaced. If they're meh, we might just rough up that cylinder wall, put it back together, and compression check. I'll be buying head gaskets no matter what, but just because it's new. Oh, neat. Look at all that stuff. Oh. Yeah, we're definitely doing something. At our new rings. Okay. Oh, junk. Oh, I forgot these pins. Oh, man alive. Never ends. Never ends. Dope. Just make sure the valves. Oh yeah, lots of compression there. Never ridden this bike. No idea what condition the brakes are in, the clutch, the transmissions, the drivetrain. I don't know if the wheels are going to fall off. Front tire's flat. She's had a rough life, this one. Let's go ride it. Ooh. Well, there it is. It runs, it drives, it goes. What do you think? I think what we're going to do, it's time to cut her open. Rest in peace, little buddy. You're going to a better place. Thanks for watching.